Living in this neighborhood meant one thing. Karen, the HOA president, was always snooping around. She had this smug little smirk, always carrying a clipboard and pretending she had more power than she really did. But this time, she took it too far. It was a Friday evening when I noticed her loitering near my front porch. She had this shiny, oversized keyring in her hand, flipping through keys like she was about to open Fort Knox. I stepped out onto the porch and caught her red-handed. "What exactly are you doing?" I asked, crossing my arms. Karen didn't even flinch. She raised the keyring proudly. "The HOA has issued master keys for neighborhood safety. I'll be testing access to your home." I almost burst out laughing. "You think you're going to unlock my house with that?" She gave a smug grin. "Of course. The HOA charter grants us entry rights in emergencies." I leaned against the railing. "Well, this isn't an emergency, and I don't remember signing any charter that says you can just waltz into my living room." Ignoring me, she shoved one of her so-called master keys into the lock. Click, nothing. She tried another, then another. Her face started turning red as she jiggled the knob harder and harder. Finally, she yelled, "Why won't this open? The HOA locksmith promised me these keys work on every house here." "Maybe," I said with a grin, "because you're trespassing and my locks aren't cheap? I had mine custom installed. No way a dime store HOA key is getting in." That's when she snapped. "Fine. If you won't comply, I'll call the police and tell them you're refusing lawful HOA entry." "Go ahead," I shrugged. She dialed 911 on speaker, her voice full of fake outrage. "Hello. I'm the president of the Meadow Ridge HOA. One of our residents is refusing entry with our master key system. He's being aggressive and—" But she didn't get to finish. "911 dispatch, what's the emergency?" A calm voice replied. Karen's tone softened, thinking she had the upper hand. "Yes, officer. I'm dealing with a dangerous homeowner who won't comply with HOA safety rules." The dispatcher cut her off. "This is dispatcher Ryan. And Karen? That homeowner happens to be my dad." Karen froze like she'd been struck by lightning. "Why your dad?" she stammered. "That's right," Ryan said firmly. "And unless you want me to log this as a false emergency call and send an officer to cite you for harassment and attempted unlawful entry, you'd better hang up right now." I smirked, watching Karen's face go pale. She fumbled with her phone before finally hanging up. My son's voice came through my own cell a moment later. He'd already called me directly. "Dad, you okay? Want me to send a cruiser to escort her off your porch?" "Nah," I said, loud enough for Karen to hear. "I think she got the message." Karen stuffed the useless keys back into her bag and stormed off down the sidewalk, muttering curses under her breath. The whole neighborhood heard about it within hours. How she tried to break into my house and got shut down by my own son, the dispatcher she'd unknowingly called. From that day forward, Karen never so much as set foot on my porch again. And those master keys? Turns out they didn't open a single door in the neighborhood. They were just cheap blanks she had cut to make herself feel powerful. The only key she really had was to her own front door. Last year, I had to spend 6 months overseas for work. Before leaving, I made sure everything was secured, fences repaired, and cattle tended to. I had a ranch hand checking in weekly. Everything was in order. But when I returned, I didn't recognize my own land. Where my fields once stretched, there were rows of cookie-cutter houses, sidewalks, streetlights, driveways, and bright banners that read, "Welcome to Oak Ridge Estates, Phase 2. 138 brand new homes, built directly on my property." I nearly ran my truck off the road. I stormed straight to the HOA clubhouse, where Karen, the president, was sipping iced tea like a queen on her throne. "You've got 10 seconds to explain why there are houses on my land," I growled. Karen smiled sweetly. "Oh, don't be so dramatic. The developer decided to expand, and your ranch land was perfect. Don't worry, you'll be compensated once the sales finalize." My blood boiled. "You built on MY property without consent. That's trespass, fraud, and theft." Karen laughed. "You weren't using it. Now families will enjoy it. You should be thanking us." I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just walked out because I knew something she didn't. See, the developer who originally built their subdivision? I'd gone to school with the CEO. And while the HOA thought they were cozy with him, they forgot one important detail. Their contracts only covered the lots already sold. They had zero rights to expand without purchasing new land. And they hadn't purchased mine, which meant every one of those 138 houses was sitting illegally on my ranch. I called the CEO. "Hey, you might want to check your records," I told him, "because your company just built phase 2 on land I still own." There was silence on the other end of the line, followed by a panicked, "What?" I sent him the deed, the surveys, and the aerial photos. Within hours, his legal team descended on the HOA like a pack of wolves. Turns out, the HOA board had forged documents claiming they had development rights. The contractor never verified ownership, they just built. That single mistake triggered one of the biggest lawsuits in county history. The HOA was sued for fraud. The developer sued them for damages. Homebuyers sued them for selling illegal lots. And me? I sued for land theft. In the end, the HOA was completely bankrupted. Karen and her board were personally liable for millions. Their homes were seized, their assets drained, and their reputations destroyed. As for the 138 new houses, the county condemned them. Some were bulldozed, others sat empty, rotting shells of a failed scam. My ranch hand and I tore down the cheap sidewalks and fences, and I reclaimed my land. Today, when I drive past that part of my ranch, it's peaceful again, just wide, open fields. A few remnants of driveways poke through the grass like scars, reminders of what Karen and her HOA tried to steal. They thought they could take my land while I was away. Instead, they lost everything, while I gained one of the most ironclad property rights cases in county history. My ranch stood long before their HOA, and it'll still be here long after they're gone.